right, welcome to the Young Turks. Cenk, Uygur, Sharon Reed with you guys today. Sharon is, of course, a TYT contributor you see throughout all of our shows, Damage Report, Indisputable, you name it, but also one of the hosts of Rebel HQ. Sharon, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
All right, so I'm in a dour mood. The rundown has lots of stories of racism and bigotry and things that were never supposed to happen again happening. And in the background, a low-level hum of the American robbery continues. So we're going to tell you about how the Republicans are planning to rob us. Trump is unhinged as usual. And so it's a heavy show. And Sharon, we're gonna start with the heaviest of stories. So let's do it.
You got it, Cenk. The Gaza takeover, things are not coming to an end over there, not the way people might want it to be. Israel's Security Cabinet has just voted to expand the war in Gaza. The IDF is now set to occupy the Gaza Strip for an indefinite amount of time. They also plan to carry out a large-scale evacuation Palestinians into the south. A lot of details to cover, a lot still unfolding. But Cenk, before we get any further, initial thoughts on this one. You said heavy, this checks that box.
Yeah, so we're in the third month of Israel's starvation campaign against Gaza. They're literally starving the people of Gaza to death, including the children. This is collective punishment. It's obvious, and now, as you're going to hear in the details of the story, they are announcing their plans proudly to ethnically cleanse the Palestinians and drive them all out of Gaza and take the entire Gaza Strip for themselves. That's exactly what we told you they would do. In fact, we've got a poll up, and because there's still tons and tons of leftovers of folks who are saying, no. They just happened to stumble into taking all the land. That was not the plan all along. But there was nothing we could do. We had to murder 52,000 people in there. We had to not even give a damn about the hostages. By the way, the hostages are also starving to death right now. We had to take all of their land. Golly gee, we just had to do it. The Palestinians made us murder their children. They made us do it. We had no agency, no control at all. So we're asking you guys, I'm curious what you guys are gonna say. You don't have to be a member to vote at tyt.com. You just take 10 seconds to register on the website so that we know you're a real person. Do you think the Israeli government has been planning to take Gaza all along? And I'm sure that tons of people are gonna say, no. It's just an accident. Golly gee, did we wind up stealing all of their land after murdering at least 52,000 people there, including at least 15,000 children? Did we accidentally starve them to death? If you starve someone to death, how can you claim you're not a terrorist? How could it be collateral damage if you purposely starve a child to death? But anyway, let's answer all these questions, because now, as Sharon's gonna tell you, they voted unanimously, and they literally voted for ethnic cleansing. Literally, it is amazing. It's one of the most outrageous actions by a government I have ever seen in my lifetime. Go ahead, Sharon.
Well, here's what we know about the IDF's plan so far. Again, as Cenk said, announcing it. The war plan approved Monday includes conquering the Strip, holding the territory, according to an Israeli official, Wall Street Journal contributing to the reporting. Palestinian civilians will be moved during the powerful new operation in Gaza. Netanyahu said in a video posted on social media, adding that his forces would not launch raids inside the enclave and then retreat. Senior Israeli security officials stated that unlike in the past, the military will remain in every area it secures to prevent the return of terror. That is the justification for it. They say an Israeli government spokesperson stated that the plan would not involve a permanent occupation of Gaza. Plan was approved unanimously, as Cenk said, by the Israeli Security Cabinet. Tens of thousands of reserve soldiers will be mobilized to carry out the operation. According to that same plan, Israel will be changing how aid will be distributed inside the Gaza Strip. And when Israel lifts the blockade on humanitarian aid, which has now entered into its third month, 6 to 10 and distribution sites, aid distribution sites rather, will be established. They will be based in the southern portion of the Gaza Strip, and they will be guarded by US private security contractors. Humanitarian groups have spoken out against the change, stating it gives Israel too much control over the flow of aid. It remains to be seen when aid will be allowed back into Gaza. According to a statement from a senior Israeli security official, there is this: the humanitarian blockade will continue, and only later, after the operational phase begins and a large-scale civilian evacuation to the south is completed, will a humanitarian plan be implemented. The national security minister not only arguing for the blockade to continue, but also calling for the IDF to bomb food warehouses and generators. Finance minister Bezalel Smotrich calling for the occupation of Gaza. Both he and Netanyahu have been promoting President Donald Trump's plan to ethnically cleanse the Gaza Strip. Others in Israel are speaking out against the escalation of the war. Inav Zangwaker, whose son Matan is being held hostage, spoke at a Knesset community meeting Monday, calling on soldiers not to report for reserve duty for moral and ethical reasons, the AP reported. The Hostage Families Forum headquarters said in a statement this: the expansion of military operations puts every hostage at grave risk. It also threatens the lives of our soldiers, deepens the toll on countless Israeli families already carrying the burden of this war. According to the Israeli government, the ground war will be expanded slowly at first. That's because Trump will be in the Middle East later this month in order to work towards a ceasefire. If those negotiations fail, then the Israeli military will rapidly escalate its operations. Netanyahu has claimed that the goal is to rescue the remaining hostages and eradicate Hamas. But let's remember what Antony Blinken had to say about Hamas last January after over a year of fighting in that region.
We've long made the point to the Israeli government that Hamas cannot be defeated by a military campaign alone, that without a clear alternative, a post-conflict plan, and a credible political horizon for the Palestinians, Hamas, or something just as important and dangerous, will grow back. That's exactly what's happened in northern Gaza since October 7th. Each time Israel completes its military operations and pulls back, Hamas militants regroup and reemerge because there's nothing else to fill the void. Indeed, we assess that Hamas has recruited almost as many new militants as it has lost.
So Antony Blinken, Cenk, basically saying that what you're doing is creating and strengthening, if you will, for the future Hamas. Do we believe any of this? Netanyahu wants the hostages. Netanyahu just wants to eradicate Hamas. Netanyahu wants to safely secure Gaza. These people, Palestinians, are being temporarily relocated. And does Trump, did he sign off on this, or does he even care about the little details?
Yeah, look at the Trump too. All right, first of all, Antony Blinken is a paid spokesperson for the Israeli government. His lobbying group appears to be working with the Israelis. Now, everything is secretive because they don't want to tell you that our Secretary of State actually worked for Israel. But it doesn't really matter. Both of our presidents, both Biden and Trump, both work for Israel. If you're saying the money has not affected them, you can say that, but you sound absolutely asinine. Oh yeah, Miriam Adelson and Sheldon Adelson gave Trump $337 million, but Trump is such a good guy, it didn't affect him. Go ahead, I dare you to say that. I dare you to make a complete and utter ass of yourself. Joe Biden got more money from AIPAC than any other donor in his career. But go ahead, tell me Joe Biden doesn't care about the money. He's such an angel, he just only looks out for others, right? He wouldn't do anything selfish at all, like run for president when he has dementia. Okay, and it doesn't matter. These guys are all paid, and everyone who now denies that they're paid by Israel, even though we literally have the receipts of AIPAC being the #1 donor in this election cycle, you're lying on behalf of Israel. You're doing propaganda on behalf of Israel. You can say anything you want about what you think you're doing. You're definitely not doing journalism. You're purposely lying if you don't point out that our government is obviously owned by Israel. Obviously. So go ahead, you liars in mainstream media, pretend that, oh, golly gee, the politicians got 500 million from AIPAC, but they're such angels, they'd never be affected by that money. It would never influence them. Okay, all right, so we're past that. So now next thing is, they say, well, okay, we weren't gonna take the land, but the Palestinians made us do it. We weren't gonna starve them, but they made us do it. How do you, okay, so they had all these things about like, oh, well, okay, human shields and it's not our fault, Hamas was there. And so we had to kill everyone near Hamas, and we killed 52,000 people, had a bare minimum, 120,000 injured, destroyed 90% of the buildings in Gaza, and there was collateral damage? Oh, when we destroyed 90% of the buildings in Gaza, there was collateral damage. Oh, golly gee, we didn't mean it. We didn't intend to do terrorism. No, you intended to murder those people, and you murdered them, and that is terrorism. You intended to starve the Palestinians to death. They also have blocked all medicine going in, and all the people who died, including the kids who died because they couldn't get their medicine, were Israel intended to murder them, and Israel did murder them. I know for some people here in America, they say, no, that's offensive, Cenk. And you hurting my feelings is so much more important than the lives of those babies. So what? Yeah, Israel dropped a bomb and it lit those babies on fire. Yeah, Israel starved those babies to death, but their lives are not important, Cenk. They're stupid Muslims like you, so they don't count at all. Only we count. Only we count. So we're allowed to starve everyone, we're allowed to murder, we're allowed to steal their land and announce it now. Now we're proudly announcing it. Yes, we're going to conquer Gaza. Yes, we're going to take, and what do you think the Palestinians are going to know? If you don't know the definition of ethnic cleansing, it is to target a specific ethnic group like the Palestinians and drive them from their land. Now I would know a thing or two about this because the Turks did the Armenian genocide. And that's what the Armenian genocide was. You drive people from their land, and that's called ethnic cleansing, and that's called a genocide. You see how I can be Turkish and still say that, and not say to people who point out accurately that the Armenian genocide happened, you're all anti-Turkish. Turks didn't do anything wrong, you offended me. That's 10,000 times more important than some Armenians that died. That's what it sounds like when Israeli supporters say, who cares that we're starving your children to death? Our feelings are so much more important than your children. They're just Muslims, practically worthless. But by the way, you're offending me. I'm not offending you by saying your babies are worthless and I will slaughter them. But you are offending me by pointing out that I am in fact doing that. I am in fact supporting that. Okay, so look, please, have the decency to just, if you're in that camp, by the way, do not make assumptions about religion. Some of the best fighters we have for peace and for two states, for everyone to get along, are Jewish Americans and some folks in Israel, okay? Again, Brave New Films, great movie about Palestinian journalists murdered by Israel. You should check that out. We'll have the link in the description box. Robert Greenwald is an angel, and Glenn Greenwald, Dave Smith, I can name Bernie Sanders, tons of wonderful Jewish American brothers and sisters doing exactly the right thing. And they see what we see. But unfortunately, there are many still Israeli supporters who say, never again, I meant for us. You Muslims can go pound sand. Of course we're gonna do it to you. Who cares about you? I need your land, give me your goddamn land, okay? Oh, never again, no, BS, you never meant it. If you're still supporting Israel starving those kids to death, you never meant a word of it. You just meant me. Give me everything and slaughter everyone else. Who cares, they're not me. Be honest, have the decency to be honest and never, ever, ever utter the words never again. So I can't take it. I can't take the hypocrisy, I can't take the lies. Seeing those kids dying every single day as the supporters of Israel dance, like, so what? It's all the Palestinians' fault. Get the F out of here, Jesus Christ. Do you have a shred of decency and humanity? A shred of decency and humanity. And if you haven't spoken out against what Israel's doing now, and now all of a sudden you turn around after saying, oh, Cenk, you saying they're gonna take the land, anti-Semitic. Now they're saying, yeah, I'm gonna take the land, ha 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 ha. Okay, so you were wrong.
Are you gonna have any decency and admit that you were wrong? Admit that they meant to steal the goddamn land in the first place. This never had anything to do with self-defense. Are you going to admit that? If you're not going to admit that, then shut up. Never talk about any crime against humanity again. You can't do a crime against humanity, right? It's not in the past. It's not in the past. Again, if you are supporting the current genocide in Gaza, then you love crimes against humanity. You just don't want it to happen to you, but you're very, very happy if it happens to others. The decency of honesty is all I'm asking for. Look, and for all the people, we all finance this, guys. We're literally taking money out of our paychecks. Every single person watching, they've taken money out of your paycheck to murder those people and to steal their land. And they took it out of my check too. I paid for that genocide. I paid for that ethnic cleansing. Our corrupt, sick politicians. Here, I'm gonna go to that right now. I wanna show you some monsters, some terrorists. Let's go to Randy Fine. So Rashida Tlaib says, hey, you're starving Palestinians to test. This guy says, this is Representative Andy Fine. Tell your fellow Muslim terrorists to release the hostages and surrender. Until then, hashtag starve away. Congressman Fine, you are a terrorist. You're a terrorist. And your face is going to go in a future Holocaust museum, future genocide museum. The people who celebrated the starvation of the Palestinian children, and Randy Fine's picture is going to be up there. What a monster. What a despicable human being. And speaking of despicable human beings, the mentally damaged senator from Pennsylvania, John Fetterman. Okay, look, I said the other day, I have some sympathy for him because apparently the stroke gave him massive brain damage. And if you have massive brain damage, you'd be in favor of genocide. That makes sense. So here he is saying this is not enough. He says we should bomb Iran and start a bigger war. Why? Because his handlers, or as Tom Massey calls them, his babysitters for Israel that track literally every single congressperson, according to Tom Massey. There's an Israeli handler for every single congressperson in America. I didn't say that, Representative Massey did. So his handler told him, shut up, John, and order a war against Iran and make Americans pay for it. Make Americans fight it. And Fetterman's like, yes, sir, of course, sir. And he writes, we cannot negotiate with Iran. It's time to destroy their nuclear program and neutralize their remaining capabilities of its proxies. I remain steadfast with Israel, provide whatever is necessary to carry this out. The senator from Israel has weighed in and saying that we should murder more people in the Middle East. And later, after we murder all those Muslims, they'll come back around and say, well, the Muslim lives are worthless, worthless. Of course we slaughtered their children. Their children are irrelevant, they're not human. So we slaughtered all of them, we made America pay it, and you know what? Oh golly gee, never again. Ha ha, I guess they'll laugh. Ha ha ha, never again. So this does not apply to anyone that does not support Israel right now as they carry out the continued slaughter in Gaza, the stealing of Gaza's land, and the starvation of the Palestinian people. If you don't agree with that, none of this applies to you. If you do agree with this, it definitely applies to you, and it is inarguable, and you are not a good person. If you say slaughter them and starve their children, I'm good with it. Under no circumstances are you a good person. Okay, I think I made myself clear.
There are, others are doing their part to fight for justice. Director Robert Greenwald has just released a trailer for his upcoming film, Gaza Journalists Under Fire. We want to show you this excerpt.
نحن الآن قذيفة إسرائيلية في ذات المحيط خلال تسجيل هذا التقرير. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله.
such a massacre against journalists in such a short period of time is unprecedented.
Journalists have been deliberately targeted. That would constitute a war crime.
الغارات الإسرائيلية لم تتوقف على مدينة غزة. Since no foreign journalists are allowed in unless they are embedded with the Israeli army, these local journalists are the eyes and ears of the world.
It's more truth. Cenk, here's the thing. I know everything that you told us and what that film shows is the truth. You've told us the truth about US politicians, US presidents, Netanyahu, the IDF, Apac, and everything you said is true. And it's enraging, and your passion is palpable and needs to be. It's necessary. But then I think, what the hell can we do about it? You have the war crimes, the warrants for Netanyahu and his former defense minister. Yeah. Nothing's going to be done. What the hell? You talked about two camps. The camp who says genocide's okay with them and the rest of us. What the hell can ever be done about this?
Yeah, let me tell you one other terrible thing, and then I'll tell you the only sets of people who could possibly stop it. So in the Wall Street Journal, I don't want you to gloss over this. Donald Trump said something BS today about how, oh, don't worry, we'll protect the Palestinians. Yeah. He means protect them as we remove them, as we kill them. Where are you moving them to? You're gonna move them to the Sinai Desert, right? Where they'll have to live in tents the rest of their lives as refugees. So again, definition of ethnic cleansing. So in reality, what's happening is, we go to the Wall Street Journal. Israel's cabinet on Monday also approved a plan to resume aid to Gaza by setting up 6 to 10 aid distribution sites that would be protected by private US security contractors. Oh, so it turns out, of course, it is going to be us. Now they get to say, oh no, it's okay, it's a private contractor, so Israel paid them, but don't worry, it's not gonna be Israelis that die removing the Palestinians from Gaza. It's gonna be Americans for a price. We told you it was gonna be Americans. Israeli lives are more precious than all other lives on the planet combined, according to supporters of Israel. So they're like, well, of course we're gonna kill the Palestinians at a disproportionate rate. Hamas killed 36 of our kids. We've already killed 15 to 20,000 of their kids. And obviously, because their lives are worthless. The 36 kids are worth 1 billion Muslim kids. Muslim kids are worthless, okay? And then on top of that, now we're not gonna drive out the Palestinians ourselves. That would get a lot of Israelis killed, and their one life is worth 1 billion of any other life. So hey, stupid Americans, come in here and clean up our mess. Here, we'll give you some money. Where did we get the money? We got it from you, bunch of suckers. Israel's taken $300 billion from the US over the lifetime of Israel, adjusted for inflation. They get blank check after blank check. You remember how Trump canceled all foreign aid? Asterisks, except he didn't. The only foreign aid that wasn't canceled for Israel and Egypt, which is Israel's ally in a peace treaty. So Israel's still taking the money. Biden gave him a blank check. Trump is gonna give him a blank check, has already done so. And we will pay for US security contractors to go get killed in Gaza. And then Israel will pretend that they paid for it when it's just our money, okay? So these are the things that are actually happening in the real world. And I try not to get upset as I tell you this, because I'm supposed to, newsmen are supposed to be like, oh yes, the Palestinian children are being murdered, and it's no big deal, I don't care, I'm a robot reading this thing. I can't do it. If your heart's not broken over this, you got problems. All right, so what can we possibly do about it? Well, I'm gonna say something that people are, I don't know how people will take it, but it's true, so we have to have a conversation. The great majority of Jewish Americans can say, no, I'm not gonna send a single dollar to Israel. I think America should stop funding Israel. And when I said never again, I meant never again. I don't mean go do it to Palestinian kids. Do it under my name. You're calling this a Jewish state when these right-wing fascist monsters have taken control over it? They should be saying, this is not the Israel I love. It's not that hard. They always say like, oh no, you can't put pressure on anybody. Nope, anti-Semitic or whatever the F, okay? But wait a minute.
if Turkey's doing something wrong, that's not all the Turkish people. That's the Turkish government. Do I call it out? Yes, Erdogan right now, terrible. I'm against him, and I think what he's doing to democracy is despicable. Was that so hard? Was that so hard? But no, you can't ask supporters of Israel to ever do that. No, they can send endless money, and they could force America to do this. And yes, your donations, brothers and sisters, a lot of you might not realize it, but your donations are then being used to literally legally bribe American politicians and force them to send our money to Israel, which in the past you might have said, hey, we're building a safe haven and a special ally. Okay, did you see me this animated before this latest conflict? No, okay. So I think what Israel was doing with the occupation was brutal and terrible, right? But I wanted two states, and I want Israel to be safe, and I want Palestine to be safe and independent and free. I want them both to exist. But if you say, no, I'm gonna slaughter the Palestinians and I'm gonna use my money and power and influence to slaughter them and make you slaughter them, then are you really gonna be surprised that that anti-Semitism's on the rise? I hate anti-Semitism. I got Jewish family and I got nothing but Jewish friends. And so I don't want them harassed. That's terrible, it's terrible. Look at what happened to Portnoy today. We're gonna talk about it later in the show, okay? But if the Turks are like chopping up Kurds on TV and then people start hating the Turks, I'm not gonna be like, oh, I don't know why it happened, I'm so surprised. Well, that's because we lit the Kurds on fire on TV and everybody saw it. How could you possibly be surprised? You're surprised that anti-Semitism is going up? Then for God's sake, do something about it. Hold Israel accountable, not because you hate them, but because you love them. Get them out of this mess. They're killing those people. Okay, but I'm not allowed to ask them to do that. I know, it's very verboten. Once again, I have not done the grave crime of murdering people and starving them to death. I have done the grave crime of asking people to stop supporting that, okay? And perhaps touch their feelings a little bit. Your feelings tiny bit hurt. That's it, slaughter away, send more money, slaughter away. Come on, don't tell me you're not slaughtering when we see it with our own eyes. Don't tell me that the Palestinians made you do it. Okay, last thing. Okay, all bets are off. If you're gonna like literally starve people for 2-3 months at a time, and you're gonna declare that you're gonna steal their land, and you're gonna declare that you're gonna ethnically cleanse them, and you're proudly doing a genocide, and you're proudly supporting a genocide, okay, Tucker Carlson, call me. Candace Owens, call me. Marjorie Taylor Greene, call me, okay? Right wing and left wing, let's get together and stop this. Even if you don't care about the Palestinians, why? Are we gonna let him take another $300 billion from the American people for greater Israel? No, I'll work with any right-wing populist, I'll work with any left-wing populist, I'll work with anyone to stop this. What would we have done? I would hope to God that if I was around in the 1930s and 1940s, that I would have said, I'll work with any right-wing populist and any left-wing populist and anyone, period, to stop that Holocaust, to save one more person. I hope to God that I would have been, that my mettle, if it was tested, would have proven true. That I treat everyone the same and my heart is broken the same, whether it's a Jewish kid, a Muslim kid, an Israeli kid, or a Palestinian kid. And you are being tested today. What are you going to do? Is the world gonna sit by and go, yeah, who cares? Bunch of Palestinians, their babies are worthless. Let Israel slaughter them because we got money, 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 money. And you know what? A lot of bankers in America said that during World War II. They said, oh, the Jews are being slaughtered, who cares? I got money from the Germans. I have so many business deals with the Germans. Are you offended that I'm making a German analogy as Israel is starving babies? Are you offended? I don't give a goddamn you're offended. Let's all band together and say any son of a bitch politician that works for Israel instead of America should be immediately removed. You should never ever vote for a politician that gives one more penny to Israel. And yes, I don't care if they're a Republican or your beloved Democrats. Well, yeah, they give money to Israel and they give them a blank check. But you know what? They're really good on other issues. I mean, they never pass anything, but they say they're good on other issues. And meanwhile, they're taking money from corporations and drug companies and oil companies and banks. They never do anything for you. But the Democrats are the good guys. Well, I saw the good guys. I saw Joe Biden give blank check after blank check and said, slaughter away. No, he's not a good guy. You should vote out every single politician that continues, not ever, that continues after this, after Israel has declared that they are pro-genocide. If you still take money from Apac or any other Israeli organization, or you vote Israeli American organization, or you vote to give more money to Israel, everybody should vote against you for the rest of time. Young Turks.
Don't you need to uphold the Constitution of the United States as president?
I don't know. I have to respond by saying again, I have brilliant lawyers that work for me.
That was over the weekend. Donald Trump sitting down with NBC's Kristen Welker. During the interview, he made it clear that ever the fulfilling his campaign promise to carry out mass deportations is more important to him than abiding by the United States Constitution. Does that concern you, Cenk?
Yeah, it concerns me deeply. This is why we told you, don't elect Trump. He doesn't care about the Constitution at all. A little bit later in the story, we're gonna tell you about two other mental things that he's doing. And I gotta ask the right and people who voted for Trump, are you not living the same reality we're living in? Are you not seeing him saying absolutely unhinged things? Or do you not care about the Constitution? He says, well, I might not uphold the Constitution, even though I have a sworn oath. My guess is that a lot of Trump voters are gonna excuse it now. Oh, he's just trolling. It's so fun to say that you'll light the Constitution on fire. That's so funny, let's destroy the Constitution. We're just trolling. Why? And what is he, a child? Is he 3 years old? He's the president of the United States. Okay, if you're for that and you're for invading Greenland and Mexico, as we're gonna show you later in this story, okay, then you're as unhinged as he is. Let's find out together.
Welker pressed Trump on the issue of due process, and here's how that went.
Your Secretary of State says everyone who's here, citizens and non-citizens, deserve due process. Do you agree, Mr. President?
I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know.
Well, the Fifth Amendment says
I don't know.
as
It seems it might say that, but if you're talking about that, then we'd have to have 1 million or 2 million or 3 million trials. We have thousands of people that are some murderers and some drug dealers and some of the worst people on earth. But some of the worst, most dangerous people on earth. And I was elected to get them the hell out of here, and the courts are holding me from doing it.
But even given those numbers that you're talking about, don't you need to uphold the Constitution of the United States as president?
I don't know. I have to respond by saying again, I have brilliant lawyers that work for me, and they are going to obviously follow what the Supreme Court said. What you said is not what I heard the Supreme Court said. They have a different interpretation.
He just doesn't know. Do you really need to be a lawyer to understand the Constitution calls for due process? As Cornell Law explains, the Constitution states only one command twice. Fifth Amendment says to the federal government that no one shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. 14th Amendment, ratified in 1868. Same 11 words. It called for the due process clause to describe a legal obligation of all states. And yes, that applies to undocumented immigrants too, believe it or not. Antonin Scalia, famously conservative former Supreme Court justice, wrote in a 1993 ruling, it is well established that the Fifth Amendment entitles aliens to due process of law in deportation proceedings. That's pretty clear. Going back to the interview, Trump also tried to distance himself from the Kilmar Abrego Garcia situation, laying all responsibility at Pam Bondi's feet.
In a 9-0 decision, the Supreme Court directed your administration to facilitate the return. You've talked about this in the past of Kilmar Abrego Garcia from a prison in El Salvador, whose deportation your administration called an administrative error. You said in a recent interview you could bring him back, but you won't. Are you defying the Supreme Court, sir?
No, I'm relying on the Attorney General of the United States, Pam Bondi, who's very capable, doing a great job. Because I'm not involved in the legality or the illegality. I have lawyers to do that. And that's why I have a great DOJ. We have a great one. We had a very corrupt one before. Now we have a great one. And they're not viewing the decision the way you said it. They don't view it that way at all. They think it's a totally different decision.
They're into alternative facts. And I think Trump is right, Cenk. Pam Bondi is doing a great job. She's doing a great job of backing everything he wants her to do, being the perfect wingman, wingwoman. It's just incredible that he's just saying all this out loud. And there are still some of my MAGA Republican friends who are still saying it. He's just trolling. It's just, that's Trump. And he's actually doing it too. We just cannot seem to get to these intellectually honest conversations.
Yeah, that's right. And so if, here's another excuse they'll use. Well, later he said he'll listen to the courts, except she asked them, the Supreme Court ruled 9-0 to quote unquote bring him back. Well, I don't know. Well, then so you're not listening to the courts. So when someone asks you and you're the president, will you uphold the Constitution? The correct answer is not, I don't know, which is literally what he said. The correct answer is yes. If you say, hey, listen, there's parts of the Constitution I don't love, and I want to propose an amendment, and we got to get 2/3 of Congress to approve, or states to call for a convention, and then 3/4 of states to confirm, no problem, no problem. It's a perfectly good, healthy amendment process. If you say, Supreme Court ruled nothing, but did they? Pam Bondi says that it's the opposite of what they said. Okay, I know George Orwell's prophet, we understand that, but they said bring him back and you must follow due process. And you're saying I'm not going to follow due process and I'm not going to bring him back. And you see how I'm listening to the Supreme Court. No, I see how George Orwell was right. And you're a giant liar and you never cared about the Constitution. And how do we know that? I told you before the election, he literally wrote after 2020, we should terminate the Constitution because of massive fraud against me. There was no fraud against him. He went to court 61. Why do you think he won't listen to the courts? He went to court 61 times to prove that he won the 2020 election. He presented a total sum of 0 evidence in all of those trials. He lost every trial, including to Republican judges and Trump appointed judges. And that's why he doesn't want to listen to the courts, because the courts are where you have to present evidence. And Donald Trump has never had any evidence in his entire goddamn life for anything. He's an obvious huckster and a fraud and a con man. It's so obvious. And I'm trying to snap some people out of it. I know, hardcore MAGA, a billion excuses. He'll come over and come to your house and sleep with your wife and you'll go, oh, you did me a great favor, I'll buy your meme coin. Okay, those guys are hopeless. Go ahead, okay? Give him your money, give him your wife, give him whatever you want, okay? But independents and some portion of MAGA that actually thought he was gonna uphold the Constitution, he just told you he's not going to. Go ahead, make more excuses. Now, let's go to how unhinged this guy is, because I also wanna ask you guys, remember, Sharon, I distinctly remember every Trump supporter telling us how anti-war they were. No way war, no way. So I want to show you, Kristen Welker asked about Greenland. Let's watch the anti-war president. Watch.
You and I talked and I asked you if you would rule out military force to take Greenland, and you said no, you don't rule out anything. Would you rule out military force to take Canada?
Well, I think we're not going to ever get to that point. It could happen, something could happen with Greenland. I'll be honest, we need that for national and international security.
But
I think
Canada?
It's highly unlikely. I don't see it with Canada. I just don't see it. I have to be honest with you.
But you are not ruling out military force to take Greenland.
I don't rule it out. I don't say I'm going to do it, but I don't rule out anything. No, not there.
Okay, Sharon, I know we're going to invade. Apparently, he wants to potentially invade Mexico as well. We'll get that in 1 second. But if I was president and I ran on an anti-war platform, I'm pretty sure that I would rule out invading Greenland. Am I the crazy one, Sharon, or does that not sound anti-war?
That's you. That's you. That's not him. Okay. And tomorrow he may say something different, although he's been pretty consistent about this Greenland situation and that military force belongs on the table. You mentioned Mexico. The president, Claudia Sheinbaum, revealed over the weekend that Trump pressured her to allow American troops into her country to fight the cartels. Here's the statement. He said, "How can we help you fight drug trafficking? I propose that the United States military come in and help you." And you know what I said to him? No, President Trump. Sovereignty is not for sale. Sovereignty is love and defended. White House National Security Council spokesman James Hewitt effectively confirmed that this happened. Yeah, saying President has been crystal clear that Mexico must do more to combat these gangs and cartels, and the United States stands ready to assist and expand the already close cooperation between our two countries. I mean, this guy, this Trump, Cenk, doesn't think he's king of America. He thinks he's king of the world. He can do whatever he wants to whomever, wherever. He believes he's actually king of the world. No wonder he put out the meme, the AI doctored photo of him as the pontiff as well. I mean, he actually believes he can do this, and he has all of our resources and money. I mean, he's stolen it all. Is he willing to spend some of it on war?
Yeah. So later we'll tell you about his corruption and how he's funneling money into World Liberty Financial, and some of the Gulf countries, the Arab countries, are giving him $2 billion at a time. I mean, the corruption is so through the roof. To be fair, at least for Mexico, it wasn't an involuntary invasion. He offered to invade them. He said, "We could bring our military into your country and occupy you. Would you like that?" And surprisingly, they said no. Okay, so at least he asked. We're fair. Has he invaded Greenland yet? No. Is he threatening to invade Greenland? Yes, you just saw it. He said that's an option. It's an option to invade Greenland. And you know what a lot of, again, hardcore MAGA guys will say is, yeah, we voted for this. Brother, you might have voted for this, but the outer edge of his voters voted on inflation and immigration. They didn't vote to invade Greenland. Did Trump say before the election, "Hey guys, I'm anti-war, but if you elect me, I might invade Greenland, and I might use US troops to ethnically cleanse Gaza, and I'm not gonna uphold the Constitution, and if the Supreme Court rules against me 9-0, I'm gonna ignore them"? Did he say those things? No, he didn't say any of those things. So no, they didn't vote for this. I told him he was a madman. Unfortunately, not enough people listened, but he's a madman. He's been a madman this entire time. So now we got to bear through this for another 3-4 years. And yes, my friends on the left, that's why I told you to get Biden out of the goddamn race. We ran against a madman. And then madman wins, and you're like, oh, well, I couldn't have seen that coming. Except we all saw it coming. The guy was shaking hands with invisible people, and we're like, please take him out of the race. Please run a strong candidate. Democrats are like, nope, we obey. Joe Biden is young and dynamic. Okay, and so here we are, young and dynamic. I can't believe young and dynamic couldn't complete a sentence in a national debate. Shocking, that's the next story. The Democrats are still pretending to be shocked. Please give them an alternative, something decent that they could vote for, so they stop voting for a madman. I'm not asking for too much. All right, we got to go, otherwise we'll never get to the rest of the story. Sorry. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, the disaster of the Democrats. Back on TYT, Cenk and Sharon with you guys, and also Curtis McLaws. Curtis, thanks for signing up, brother. He hit the join button below on YouTube. You can do likewise, or go to tyt.com/join. That helps even more. We appreciate you guys. All right, Sharon, what's next?
Some people don't like the words cover up, Cenk, but it's still a cover up. Watch.
I think there's a consensus that the media generously missed and ungenerously covered up Joe Biden's frailty. And
I think cover up is such a loaded phrase. People use that term as they relate to Watergate or the covering up of not sharing public information about a war.
Yeah, and I'm not accusing anybody of a crime.
I understand, but other people have used that term, and I think it's a bit of a dangerous term.
Or it's dead on. Last week, former White House press secretary Jen Psaki objected to the word cover up. Might imagine she would when it comes to the media's coverage of Joe Biden's mental decline or lack thereof. In just a minute, we will play a clip of Saki insisting that she did not know about what was going on with Biden. I think I know the answer, but I'll ask the question anyway. Should we believe her?
So here's the thing, Sharon. Folks put us in a difficult position, right? So I don't want to say that Jen Psaki's a liar because it's awkward, it's uncomfortable. She's a human being and she's gonna, get hurt over that, etc. Right? But they put us in an untenable position. What do you want me to say? Like really, you guys, none of you saw it in your day-to-day interactions with Joe Biden. When we saw it here from the outside, like when he shook hands with an invisible person on stage, Jen, did you ask anyone, hey, was there anyone there? And I just didn't see them on tape. What was going on? Or did you think, yeah, the president's obviously in mental decline, let's go lie, okay? When he couldn't, you're telling me the first time you noticed that he couldn't finish his sentences were during the debate. How come we played 1,000 tapes here on the Young Turks? Because we actually wanted a strong candidate against Trump. We actually thought democracy was on the line and we were right. But Jen thought that protecting her boss and her own job and her own prestige and reputation was way more important than democracy. Way more important. Are you really telling me that you never saw Biden have a verbal gaffe behind the scenes as we saw him have a million verbal, not gaffes, like literally can't finish a sentence, we don't know what he's talking about. We saw it with our own eyes on air, but you're saying that when you went back into the White House, all of a sudden you went from to, oh, hey, Jen, let's do this, and here's my action plan, etc. Why? Why would he do that? Why would he fake having dementia on air when he was perfectly fine off air? But you expect us to believe all that, and then when I say I think Jen Psaki might be lying, I'm the bad guy. And all of Washington will say, now have you not only offended Joe Biden, you've offended Jen Psaki. And Jen Psaki is still a very important person in Washington. And her feelings are so much more important than Democrats winning an election, people being honest with you. The press, come on. The press didn't cover it up. All right, let's hear the rest of the story and then let's all make our own conclusions about whether the press covered it up or not. Go ahead, Sharon.
Psaki's comments came on the Mixed Signals podcast by Semaphore, which is hosted by Max Tanny and Ben Smith. Here's that clip of Jen Psaki stating that she did not see Biden's decline.
I left in May of 2022, just for the facts here. And I have seen Biden once since then. I never saw that person, not a single time. And I was in the Oval Office every day that was on that debate stage. I'm not a doctor. Aging happens quite quickly. Were things that people saw during that period of time that were similar to that or would have been in a category of that? I don't know, possibly, right? And all these books are gonna tell us.
She's either the smartest Washington insider or she just has no clue what's going on around her. According to the Wall Street Journal, Biden's decline was apparent almost as soon as his term began. A sign that the bruising presidential schedule needed to be adjusted for Biden's advanced age had arisen early on, just the first few months of his term. Administration officials noticed the president became tired if meetings went long and would make mistakes. They issued a directive to some powerful lawmakers and allies seeking one-on-one time. The exchanges should be short and focused, according to people who received the message directly from White House aides. Ideally, the meetings would start later in the day since Biden has never been at his best first thing in the morning, some of the people said. His staff made these adjustments to limit potential missteps by Biden, the people said. That aside, we do have more of the Semaphore podcast episode to show you. At one point, Smith asked Saki if the media failed to cover Biden's decline properly. Let's see how she responded to this one.
What I don't know, Ben, and maybe we'll learn from these books, is what the facts were behind the scenes. So what the media missed, and maybe the media missed a lot. And so maybe in retrospect, which is always easier to be critical of the media about, frankly, right? There were major stories and moments missed. What I think is challenging, if you don't know about what's happening privately, right, is that Joe Biden was in his early 80s during that period of time. We all knew his age. That was not a secret. What was happening behind the scenes, I don't know. What was also true that I would find actually a little tricky if you're a reporter of any kind, is that while we know there were problematic things behind the scenes now in 23 and 24, there was an aggressive all-out pitching operation from the right wing and from the Republicans about Joe Biden's age and how he was in decline and like sleeping in the Oval Office, a lot of which wasn't true.
She left in May 2022. So everything she's talking about, speculating on, is after she left. Former NBC host Chuck Todd made similar comments last month. Let's check out what Chuck said.
This is not a media failure. This is a failure of the Democratic Party. And I just sort of the virtue signaling that some people have done to try to say that the media missed this story. They didn't miss this story. I just refuse to accept this stupid premise because it's a right-wing, manufactured right-wing premise in order to stain the media. The media's got plenty of things to attack them for, and there are MSNBC and CNN and pundits that absolutely carried water for Joe Biden, but they're not journalists. They're former strategists that carried water for Joe Biden. The people at fault are Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Jill Biden, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, every elected member of Congress.
I guess, Cenk, for me, it's like, but who are they rubbing shoulders with all that time? The Washington game, the Washington press, it's an insider game. Many of them are one and the same, it seems like. They lunch together, they chat offline or on Signal together. With Jen Psaki, remember, even after she left the White House and her job there, her media superpower is supposedly she's got like that direct line. She knows everything that's going on inside the building, but yet she doesn't see any of this. She doesn't know anything that went down here. As Joe Biden is falling over sandbags and falling off his bike, those could be, you could explain those things away. But the fact that Chuck Todd and Jen Psaki are so protective of this media bubble, this machine that works in concert with the party, it's sick. It's not, well, maybe it is as sick as the other side sometimes. I don't know. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a great point about her being an insider. I'll come back to that. And it's also a great point what you just said. So Trump lies all the time, right? And we just did a huge segment about his lies a minute ago on the Young Turks, right? Watch the show live 6 to 8 p.m. You'll see it all, okay? Now, mainstream media, and Trump says, don't believe your lying eyes. I said terminate the Constitution after I lost the last election, but don't believe your lying eyes. I said I was anti-war, now I want to invade Greenland, but don't believe your lying eyes, okay? So now mainstream media comes in and tells us, no, we held Biden accountable and we said that he was in mental decline. Guys, we were right here. We saw it with our, no, you didn't. None of you said that. None of you said that. But it's not just that. That whenever anyone did come out and say, like for example, forget people like us. Of course, the mainstream media would never deign to talk, the online media is saying that Biden is old. Jeeves, isn't he young and dynamic? Let's report that on air. But guys, are you really like, do you think you're gonna gaslight us into thinking that you held him accountable when we all have eyes and ears and we saw that none of you held him accountable? That in fact, forget us, like I said, when Robert Hur, you remember the lawyer who talked to Biden? He came out and said, well, he's not guilty, but brother's having trouble concentrating. And what happened? The media was like, how dare Robert Hur, no, the Democrats are right and Robert Hur is wrong and he's a Republican plan. It wasn't just Democrats who said it, it was mainstream media. Mainstream media are the attack dogs, and not of Democrats, of establishment politicians. If you're a corporate politician like Mitch McConnell or Joe Biden or Nancy Pelosi or Marco Rubio, mainstream media will kiss your ass from here to eternity. And then again, proving George Orwell right. And then they'll turn around and go, no, he didn't. No, we checked Joe Biden. Did you, Chuck? Did you? Show me.
Show me you are going on air and saying, what the hell's going on here? Here's one video, the next video, the third. We did it. Did you do it, Chuck? Did you do it once, Chuck? If you didn't do it once, why don't you shut the F up? And pretend, oh, the media, they blame the media. Brother, I've been on the air during the Iraq war. We've been around forever. Oldest internet show in history. And back then we were on radio. We were on the air and we were saying, Iraq didn't attack us. Iraq didn't attack us. And all the mainstream media was going, no, Dick Cheney says that they're in the general region from which the terrorists came. And 7 out of 10 Americans on the day we invaded Iraq thought that Saddam Hussein had attacked us. Why? Mainstream media. Mainstream media helped Republicans lie us into that war, 100%. And it's not like there weren't people like us screaming, they didn't attack us, you goddamn liars. They didn't attack us. And now they say, oh no, we called out Biden. We were really tough on him. Get the F, then show me. You can't show a single clip, can you? Okay, so Chuck Todd, sorry brother, sorry, but you're a giant liar. All you've ever done is cover up for politicians on the Republican and Democratic side. If they're a corporate establishment politician, you love them. You aided and abetted them your entire career. All right, so let's go back to Saki. She says, well, I guess the books will have to tell us what happened. Jen, you were right there. What the hell you need a book for? You were literally his mouthpiece. You spoke for him. You need a book to tell you what happened? And this super convenient excuse of, oh, I left in 22. Biden was in great shape in 22, was he? But then to Sharon's point, why did you get the MSNBC gig? Oh, I'm an insider. I know the scoop from the Biden administration. Biggest insider there is. Now, all of a sudden, I don't know anything. A book will have to tell me. I'll have to read it, like a history book or something. I didn't know a single thing that happened in the Biden administration. So Jen, did you know everything or did you know nothing? Which one is it? If you know nothing, why is MSNBC still hiring you? Apparently you're the worst insider in the world. You literally didn't know anything. So then take back the marketing campaign and your show, etc. God, these guys' lies are unbelievable. And she's like, oh, we'll have to figure out what happened in retrospect. In retrospect, you were there day to day. You have to wait later to figure out that he couldn't finish sentences. Okay, you guys get it. The mainstream media lies almost as much as Donald Trump. That's why no one believes them when they call out Donald Trump. So yeah, I know. And Mitch McConnell wasn't freezing. And Dianne Feinstein, mainstream media didn't even call out Dianne Feinstein, man. They're wheeling her around in a wheelchair. She couldn't speak. Nancy Pelosi's daughter was wheeling around going, the Senator Feinstein thinks corporations are awesome and we'll be voting with them. But don't worry, Senator Feinstein's fine. Feinstein would be like, what? Right? And they're like, no, shh. By the way, John Fetterman right now has brain damage. Shh. John Fetterman's pro-Israel, shh. He doesn't have brain damage, what do you mean? There's a giant story about it. All of his staffers going, oh my God, he's got brain damage. He walks into traffic, not knowing what's happening. Shh. Chuck, you're calling him out, right? Get the F out. I mean, God, they're ridiculous. Guys, I'm sorry, I'm going crazy today. I can't stand these stories. All right, Sharon, we're gonna do the next story. I'm nuts. Let's do the next story.
Let me just say, remember when Senator Feinstein and were you voting yes or no? And they had to say, put your hand down and vote up. Like, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy.
It's like Weekend at Bernie's. It's like literal Weekend at Bernie's.
Literally.
And mainstream media goes, I don't see it. I don't see it.
Who, do you ever leave the White House? She's talking to the same friend, including Obama. Remember when he was out west and he was doing the fundraiser and Obama had to kind of lead Biden off the stage? It was tragic, but nobody saw it, nobody saw anything. This next one, Cenk, just a horrific racist attack. Is this where we are? I mean, it used to be you tell your kid, listen, if I'm not around, you need help. just find a mom. Trust a mom, just not this mom.
You call him the child? Did you call the child the word? It is my own business. You call him. Okay, why don't you have the balls to say it right now again? Okay. All right, that's what you say.
You don't go digging through people.
Nobody digging to your.
A little kid just did, you dumb.
A little kid, you call him the little child?
What if he acts like one? He's gonna.
Are you about to hit him? You chase him here?
He took my son's stuff.
So that gives you the right to call the child 5-year-old and the N-word.
If that's what he's gonna act.
That's
like.
what you're gonna call him.
That's what he's gonna act like.
You know that's a hate speech, and you can be the that.
I don't give a.
Huh. Okay, we'll see about that. What the internet has to say about you.
Just remember her body language in that clip too. Does she look afraid? That's gonna come back. Minnesota, a woman at a local playground hurled a racial slur at a 5-year-old black boy after accusing him of getting too close to her child's diaper bag. When Sharmaik Omar, who witnessed the incident, stepped in to defend the child, who, like Omar, is of Somali heritage, the woman identified as Shiloh Hendricks turned her attention to him. She didn't just use the slur again and again and again. She went further, telling Omar and his wife they shouldn't have more children because they drained the welfare system. So none of this was said in private, Cenk. She was defiant on camera. She stands by her words, her behavior, even when confronted. And it just made me think, has public shaming, he's holding the camera there rolling, has public shaming lost all power?
No, it's much worse than that, as we're about to show you, because she got greatly rewarded for this. So I got a lot of words for the people who contributed to her. So that's coming up in a minute. But so far, on the things that we've already covered, the kid that she was calling the N-word repeatedly to is 5 years old. If I'm at a park and a 5-year-old goes through my baby's bag, do I think he's stealing something? No, I think he's a 5-year-old. I go, hey, little fella, what you doing? Where's your parents, right? And I bring him back to his parents. I don't accuse him of being a thief, let alone the N-word. I don't go to his parents and tell them that they're taken from the welfare system when I don't know anything about them. And now it might turn out that the kid's also autistic, but it doesn't matter. He doesn't, that's not even important. He's a 5-year-old. No, okay, so first of all, let me be super clear. She is definitely racist. So let me be very clear about that. So, so look, these days we're telling people don't blame the voters, right? Republican, Democrat, et cetera, blame the leaders, et cetera. But then, and don't go around calling everybody racist and fascist and Nazis, it's not that productive, okay? We wanna win people back. But when a person calls a 5-year-old the N-word and says, oh yeah, I bet you guys take welfare money, you black people. Well, what do you want me to call her? You want me to call her not racist? No, she's definitely racist. But wait till you see all the other racists that financially rewarded her. Atta girl, way to take on a 5-year-old black kid and try to ruin his life and call him dirty racial words. Atta girl, they said. Let's find out about that.
Gotta teach them young. Rochester police say they've received multiple calls and are investigating the incident. They've apparently concluded that investigation and they've sent things over to the DA's office. We'll see what happens. Meanwhile, the local branch of the NAACP called for the woman to face criminal charges, suggested the slur against the child could constitute a hate crime. They made it clear no one should face that kind of abuse, especially not a 5-year-old child at the playground. But we want to show you this. This is what Cenk was referring to. I mean, this was just a couple hours ago. She might be a millionaire by now. The aftermath took a disturbing turn. This is what we're doing. The woman launched a crowdfunding campaign on Give, Send, Go. That platform known for hosting right-wing fundraisers quickly pulled in more than $500,000. It's currently showing, at least last check, 670,000. Comments on the fundraiser were so full of vitriol that the site had to shut them down. Some donors cheered her on, rewarding her, not despite her racism, but because of it. She now says she plans to use the funds to move someplace safer, less black. Perhaps I added that part. Meanwhile, the Rochester NAACP raised about half of that amount, half, to support the child's family. Here is their poster board on GoFundMe. Ms. Hendricks, meantime, recently posted an update on her fundraising page. Hello, where do I even begin? The overwhelming support that my family and myself have received is unbelievable. I've never felt so scared, yet reassured in my life. It's truly a whirlwind of emotions. We're currently doing okay. No one has been harmed, and we are getting by. We are taking the proper procedures in order to stay safe from these constant threats. I'm still very frightened, and I don't think I will feel safe until we can escape completely. It's ironic because I could use those same words or someone who looks like me in a circumstance like that. It's not exactly like what Israel's doing, of course. But again, I ask, like, where is the hope, Cenk? If this is what we're doing, she's loud, she's violent in her words and disgustingly racist. And yet my fellow Americans are not just cheering her on or accepting it, right? Accept it, then cheer it on. They're actually, in these difficult times, opening up their wallets and giving to this woman. Some people can only afford to give $5, $10. They're doing it though. That's who they identify with from watching that video. It's so gross. I ask you, what can be done about it? Where's the hope? This is just what we have to deal with.
Yeah. So I talk about not blaming the Trump voters because why? Because they voted for one person and against another person, and a lot of them voted against the establishment. And it was a generalized vote. It was voting again for one person or against another person, and there was talk of inflation and immigration and so many different issues, right? So somebody might have voted on inflation, another one might be hardcore MAGA who voted for him because he thinks Trump might be racist and he loves it, right? So there's a giant range of people. In this case, that doesn't apply because these people have raised their hand on a specific issue, right? So she sees a 5-year-old black kid and she thinks, I gotta get to safety. All the N-words are all around here and they're little 5-year-olds. Ah! You probably took money from welfare, you N-word this. Okay, you're a racist, that's obvious, right? But the people who gave her money, you guys didn't vote on a generalized thing. You didn't do this based on inflation or anything else. No, you were like, oh, you called a black kid the N-word. Congratulations, here's my hard-earned money. I love racism. I love racists like you. I love you racists so much that I fund them and try to make them millionaires. Everyone who gave to that fund, if they understood the whole situation, is obviously racist. Do you wanna cry? You wanna cry now? Oh, just because we call little black kids N-word, and then we used to think, oh, great job, atta girl. Way to show that little black kid who he is. He's an N-word, ha ha ha. Well, I'm not racist. No, you are. You're a baboon and you're a racist who wants to reward racism. You raised your hand for it. I didn't make you raise your hand for it. It wasn't a general election. You said, I love this racist and I want to finance her. By the way, you know what's gonna happen next, Sharon? Now, all bets are off. Tons of people are gonna go around calling people the N-word and then try to fundraise off of it. They're gonna be like, I called someone an N-word too. Can somebody give me money? I'm just as racist as she was. You know what? They'll try to one-up her. They'll say, oh yeah, watch how terrible I treated a black person or a Latino or a woman or whatever. Now give me $1 million. So
the comments were literally what you were mockingly, literally the comments said things, almost verbatim what you were saying there.
I didn't even see the comments. I'm not surprised because that's who gives money to an avowed racist. So now she says, oh, I'm afraid because somebody threatened me online. Okay, first of all, nobody should threaten anyone. That defeats the whole point. Never do violence, never threaten violence, never talk about violence, etc. But look, this is this platform she's raising money is a quote unquote Christian platform. No one does more damage to Christianity than so-called Christian leaders, okay? This platform also raised money for Kyle Rittenhouse. Oh, if you go to a Black Lives Matter protest and you kill a couple of people, we want to reward you.
Let's get you some money, some cold hard cash. You call a 5-year-old black kid the N-word, let's reward you. Let's give you some cold hard cash. By the way, we're Christians. Are you? Are you? It doesn't look like it. So.
Can I tell you one other thing, Cenk?
Yeah.
She was initially asking for less, but she has just increased the fundraising goal to $1 million. So she get it while it's hot, let it keep rolling in.
No. I mean, everyone, the people giving, that's all right, you're just telling on yourself. I'm not gonna do anything about it. I'm not gonna track you down. I'm not gonna be a weirdo, okay? But all of you, you gotta live with yourself, right? And you're the person who said, I love racism. I like to finance racism. So, okay, that's who you are. Look yourself in the mirror every day, get up and say, man, I love discriminating against, I hate black people, etc. That's who you are, just own it, okay? Just own it. And don't, like now, Sharon, I guarantee you, humans are easy to figure out, incentives and disincentives. This story just provided an enormous financial incentive for all of us to fight each other, and in all directions, okay? If you're racist, bigoted, etc., there's people out there who are gonna give you money for it. So now you're gonna see, if you thought racism and bigotry were bad before, wait till you see it after she raises $1 million.
But you mentioned fighting each other, and I know we gotta go. But can we acknowledge that the side who is fighting for, not everybody, but the side that's fighting in favor and cheering on this racist are much more motivated? If we just do the math, I told you the NAACP raised half. Maybe they're just not as good at calling, for, I don't know. But it just is ironic to me, that this woman raised more than the autism community's fundraising over the same period too. So it just, these are really motivated racists. They're not just, I say yay, but I'm not gonna get off my couch. These are activist racists.
I mean, they gotta stop egging people on, man. If you called my kids some kind of word like that, I don't know what would have happened. And so this is a runaway freight train. Look, last thing, if you said it about a Jewish person, there'd be a congressional hearing, let's be honest, and you would be arrested and maybe deported, right? So are we gonna protect black people in the same way? Let's be honest, we're not, right? So imagine if someone said something deeply anti-Semitic, which I would despise, in a park like that to a 5-year-old Jewish kid, right? Heartbreaking, terrible. And then they raised $1 million. Like the rest of the country was like, "Atta boy, way to be an anti-Semite and yell at that 5-year-old Jewish kid and call him this word and that word. Atta boy, here's $1 million." We'd all lose it, right? I mean, that would definitely be headline news. Why is this on cable news 24/7? Did I miss it? Maybe it's here and there. I hope MSNBC's covering it. But how is this not? I mean, where's the congressional hearings? Okay, so some people you can do things to, and other people you can't. This isn't about Israel or anything like that. Like, I don't want anybody getting called any names under any circumstances. Okay, but don't tell me that black people have the same power. Don't tell me that there isn't racism when somebody just got nearly $1 million to be racist. So you're gonna get a lot more of this going forward, and it's gonna be absolutely disgusting. And then the people up top are gonna laugh their ass off as we rip each other to shreds. And then they'll get another $5 trillion in tax cuts.
Look at the hypothetical you gave. You said if someone says something anti-Semitic and then deported. If somebody just said, hey, stop the killing of the babies that on UPenn's campus, or somewhere else, or writes an op-ed, and suddenly, bam, you're out of here. But this is, we gotta go. It just brings up a lot that you were right when you said this first hour is not, this is heavy.
Yeah, not for the faint of heart. Okay, hey, breaking news, we found out we're not equal. Both you and me, Sharon. Yeah, definitely not equal. Oh well. All right, love you. We'll see you soon, guys. Everybody, stick around. We got Michael Schur coming up, and we have more disastrous Trump stories. We also have disastrous anti-Semitic story. So bigotry for everyone. We'll be back.